What's up, friends? This is Jasmine, and you are watching M&J Games. So, today I wanted to start with a challenge park. This is something that I've been wanting to do, and I've tried on my own a few times, but usually my parks become abandoned because I just fail at them. So I kind of wanted to do a let's play for this challenge. I think I'm gonna go with the hard, just to kind of make it interesting, but not the hardest level. So I'm just calling this hard challenge park, and then later on maybe we can come up with an actual name for the park. And in the hard level, we start out with $2,000. So I think that's going to be challenging, but hopefully doable. So if you're like me, you like the sandbox park, but also I feel like the sandbox park is a little too easy. Like, I like to have a challenge, I like to look at the budgets and figure out, how many people I want to employ, things like that. And with the sandbox park, everything is unlimited, and I just wanted to do something a little bit different. And hopefully, if you like this, then let me know. I really appreciate your comments, and you can also help me decide on a theme for the park and what kind of architecture I should have in it. These are things that I'm not really going to be worrying about in the beginning, but after a while, hopefully, we'll come out with a nice park. So the first thing I'm doing is placing a fairly cheap ride. I'm trying to spend as little as possible, and so this ride was $1,200. So I was wondering about whether the paths cost the same or if they're different. So I was just trying out some different paths to see how much they cost. But I think I eventually settled on this brick one, just because I really liked the railings. So, yeah, it was kind of confusing because it started off saying that it cost $4, but then as I was building, it went up to $7. So I was kind of confused on why it did that. If you know, please let me know, just so I can have that in the back of my mind. And then I tried to make the queue as short as possible, but also long enough to accommodate a little bit of a crowd since this is the first ride. This is a ride that people are going to go to first. So, on this next part, I was just trying to find a path that matched that had the same railings as my queue line. And I think I settled on that flagstone path. Yeah, and so as I was placing those, I mean those cost a little bit more. So I don't I don't really know how the pathing system works as far as cost. But like I said, if you know, please let me know, just so I can know. Okay, so now I'm just gonna try to connect my path in the most cost efficient way as possible. um, and that already took up a bunch of the budget. Another thing that I did right off the bat was I paused the game and I closed my park pretty early on, just because I didn't want to have people walking through the park and there's nothing there yet. So the next thing that I'm trying to figure out is whether it's worth placing food and drinks yet. Those the food and drink those uh what are those called, facilities, or I think facilities, anyway. They cost $200, which is kind of a lot. And so I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with that. Um, and then as you can see, like in the top left corner, the challenges window pops up, and it you can have it there or you can take it off. I left it there mainly just so I could know what challenges I wanted to work on. So the first one that I was focusing on was having the staff retention for 2 months. So I think I had to have 3 staff. So so that's why I was looking at those the food and drink, because then I could have vendors and staff. So I kind of gave that up right now, and then I tried focusing on the scenery for my ride, and I tried to keep things as simple as possible while also making it pretty. But I learned quickly that it's probably better to use the bushes first because they're cheaper than the trees. So like that tree that I placed was like $15, $14 or something, um, which is a lot when you only have like a few $100s. So okay, so I'm placing some lights, and I just made them red just to match my ride. I don't think that's gonna be a branded color throughout the park. Um, And then I just place these smaller lights kind of at the corners. So you can see like right when I opened the park, a lot of people just like came right in, and I can't remember if I already set the ticket price, but I think I set it to like $1 or something like that for both the adults and the kids. Yeah, so I learned while I was placing these blocks that they they automatically have their own building, but then like if you click out of them, um, they aren't considered a building anymore. It was kind of weird because I really wanted them to be on the same grid because I knew that this was going to be one building in the future. So I ended up just trying to align them myself, and it sort of worked out, but I don't know if you know how to place those while they're all on the same grid, then let me know. Another thing too, I wanted to mention, if you're new to this channel, I play on PlayStation 4, so it's a little bit different if you're on the computer. But I really do enjoy this game. I think it's just such a fun game. And normally, so I am not one of those people that played Roller Coaster Tycoon. I played it a little bit, but I was not like a huge fan. I just didn't think it was that great. My husband Michael was a huge fan. And so that's why he's kind of like, he loves the Planet Coaster stuff. Okay, so now it looks like I was trying to get my scenery up. And I think here I was trying to figure out if I wanted to hire a second vendor or not, because I didn't want to hire one and then this first vendor wasn't going to be on a break yet. Also, I did not mention this in the beginning, but this video has been sped up to, I think, 2 times. So, yeah, so normally I am definitely not playing this fast. So I think originally this video was like over an hour, and so I just wanted to save some time and I sped it up for you. Okay, so I've added another um, a food place. So now I have 2 staff. Yeah, so I was trying to figure out what it was the guests were wanting, and obviously they wanted more rides, which I could not build. So I was trying to bump up my scenery rating on this first ride to attract more guests. And also, I have another challenge popped up that's saying to obtain an overall staff happiness of at least 73. Is that 73 or 72? I think 73 for 2 months. Yeah, so a lot of the scenery can get kind of tedious, and it's definitely not the most fun part of the game. But when you get it right, it is pretty exciting, like looking at it and seeing how pretty something is, and you took a lot of time out of your day to do it. Yeah, so I bumped up my ticket prices a little bit, and I just sat there for a second to figure out if those price changes were okay. And it looks like they were okay, because people are still okay. So those people turned around, but I left it anyway. Yeah, so I ended up deleting that second venue because I felt like it was costing too much money and people weren't going there. Yeah, so I ended up hiring a mechanic because I was trying to achieve that second challenge, which was having a mechanic stay on for 2 months. And the mechanics are the most expensive staff members, but I figured I could have him stay on, and then once I achieved that challenge money, then I could fire him and then possibly hire him back. And you can see he like has nothing to do because there's only one ride, so he's constantly like walking back and forth and trying to figure out what to do. So so my budget was dwindling, so you can see it's like 40 something dollars. So um, I was trying to figure out what I needed to do to make sure my budget stayed um, profitable, but obviously that wasn't happening. So I deleted the restroom because that gave me a little bit of money, and I deleted some of the bins. So yeah, so I sped the game up because I was trying to get my mechanic to be on staff for at least 2 months. So it took a little bit of time to get there. And so you can see like my balance is negative. I think it I think it drops down to like negative 800 something at one point. So then I got the challenge money from the first objective, which was having 3 staff members for at least 2 months. So that gave me like $1,100, but it still wasn't enough to buy a second ride. So then I changed the ticket prices a little bit, and I also upped my scenery on this first ride, the only ride. So you can see like it really does take quite a bit of money to get your scenery to um, be in the positive or the green for that for a ride. Um, yeah, and I still wasn't in the green after placing all of that. Yeah, so I changed the price on those the milkshakes because it looked like a lot of people weren't going there, and they kept like walking in and then turning around. So I changed the prices a little bit, hoping that I would get more customers. Okay, so I'm trying my hand at the other food place. I put a little burrito place in there. And I think I lowered the prices a little bit. One thing I have noticed while playing this game is if you have ticket prices for park entry that are um, that are cheap, then guests will spend a little more on food and rides. But if your ticket prices for entry are not so cheap, then they aren't willing to spend as much money on other things inside the park. Okay, so I finally achieved that objective of having a mechanic stay on for 2 months. I paused the game to try to figure out what I wanted my second ride to be, and I ended up going with the Venetian carousel because it was smaller and it only cost $1,200. And the reason I'm placing it near my other ride was because I had built so much scenery around the first one. I wanted them to share some of those scenery plants so that I wouldn't have to recreate more scenery around this second ride. Yeah, so that gave me a little bit more to start with, and then I added some lighting around it. Yeah, so at first I was going to make it match um, the ride, and then I didn't really like that dark red color, so I ended up changing them to white because I figured white goes with anything. Yeah, so then I changed the color of the Venetian carousel to kind of match the first ride that I have in there. I'm probably not going to keep those colors though. So it looks like that brought in some more people. Yeah, and I fired my mechanic. I fired my mechanic because he cost too much money. Yeah, so you can see like my scenery, even though I have all these bushes, it still wasn't in the green. Bumped up my ticket prices again, just to see if people were willing to pay. I think that's probably like the most annoying thing that happens in the game is that people vandalize your stuff and you have to fix it. Yeah, so I added the toilet back in because that was one of the complaints the guests were having. So I added that back in, and you can see that my budget was barely hanging by a thread. Yeah, so then my first ride broke down, and I was super nervous because I didn't know if I could hire the mechanic or not with a negative balance, but it let me hire him anyway. So I was at a negative balance and it looked like it recovered just a tad. And then I ended up hiring a janitor because my trash was kind of overflowing. Yeah, so this building style is City Riviera, which is that's what I tend to have in my park, but I was trying to figure out what kind of theme I wanted to do for the park, and I'm still not sure what I want to do. So I finally got that last objective, which was some staff retention. So I got a little bit more money there. And then I trained my first few vendors and gave them a little raise. And then I also was looking at some research that was as cheap as possible. So I think I went with the small attractions because it's only like $100 a month. Yeah, so I paused the game and added some scenery around um, this little carousel. I think after this, I think that's all I did. I just added some more plants. And those wouldn't fit, so I grabbed a smaller little bush. And it looks like that's it. I'm stopping here, and if you like the video, let me know. If you want more of these videos, please let me know. And I'll make some more, and we can continue our challenge. Thanks for joining me today. Until then, see you later.